What's up, fight fans? I know y'all watched UFC 278, and if you're a real hardcore fan, I know you watched the prelims, and that's what we're here to talk about here today on Beefy Boys Breakdown, episode 101. Um, we're one of the only podcasts out there going over every single prelim fight, early prelim, main card, all that, every single fight, every single card. Here's my partner, Harrison, right now. What's up? What's up? We got the birthday boy joining us here for episode 101 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. Leave a comment below wishing Harrison a happy birthday. But yeah, man, we're here to go over the prelims of UFC 278. And I got to ask, so you didn't bet this week. And did these prelims suck, or did I just eat shit and I'm a degenerate and I'm saying they suck because I ate shit on them?
No, they sucked.
Okay.
They were just like long fights that took too much for not enough that I put in. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like, I guess having a draw and a majority decision
kind of
already creates the narrative of like, man, some weird fights, and then two more unanimous decisions. I don't know, not the most lively prelims, and especially when it's on ABC, that's tough.
It's tough, and especially like the early prelims before it set this crazy pace, 2 first-round finishes, you know what I mean, ranked fighters. And like I said, so not only were they kind of mid, but then I totally ate shit from a betting perspective. So your boy did not have a good time. Your boy was like, all right, let's get to this main card. But regardless, we talk about every single fight, every single card, every single week here on the Beefy Boys Breakdown. So let's get to it.
Sir.
We got AJ Fletcher coming as a minus 165 dog, and minus 165 favorite, my bad. And fighting Angelusa plus 140 dog in the welterweight division. And man, I mean, we both really liked Fletcher this week. I mean, there were so many big money lines that we thought this was one of the few places to get some value, especially on a parlay. The minus in the ones, that's the sweet spot for build. You get some great value on a parlay. But, Angelusa showed up to party, He said, I'm no can.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised by his performance overall. You know what I mean? Like, and it was one of those things, too, where you could tell Fletcher was just so sharp whenever he's fresh. Yeah. And then as soon as he's not fresh and those little bit of edges are off, he's just not quite as fast, but he still wants to be as sharp and tries the same things. He gets punished for it, man. I think that became very evident.
Hey, that was a fire breakdown. That was a great way of putting what happened. You're right. So we start the fight off in round one, and round one was very close. And like you said, whenever Fletcher was out in the oven and he was able to counter Lusa when he was trying to come in, and he was able to use his kicks more, he was pretty effective and got some good damage off in round one. However, I still have round one going to Lusa, and it was kind of a stole-the-round situation. Like, I had Fletcher firmly in control. I said he was looking pretty. He was looking clean. He was piecing them up. He was putting combos together, finishing with kicks. A lot of, like, the, good fundamentals at range. But then towards the end of the round, Lusa landed, like, about, 5 or 6 little punch barrage that, like, landed clean. And you can I am arguing, did more damage than all of, like, the essentially, like, point fighting Fletcher did the first, like, 3.5 minutes of the round. Like, Lusa landed some bombs.
So I'm glad you said 3.5 minutes, because I definitely wrote a note that says Fletcher's slowing down with 90 seconds left. So at the exact point you saw it, I saw it as well. It was, okay, like, remarkable. And then, I mean, yeah, Lusa started landing some nasty combos, and that 6-piecer he hit, I valued it more too. I had it 10-9 Lusa. Every judge did as well.
Okay.
Now, that being said, it made me think that AJ Fletcher was on his way to getting finished, which, you open up the second round, he's still getting kind of beat up. And then Lusa gets a little too loose with it, and Fletcher just catches him with a massive shot and starts putting out crazy damage. I don't know how Lusa survived the second round, to be honest.
Yes, it was wild. The DC was comparing it to David Onama the week before, and I thought that was pretty dope, like, comparison. It was very similar. Yeah,
very much so.
He shot his load, man. And I don't think he's wrong for doing it. That's where it gets tough. Like, it wasn't like hey, this isn't a moment to empty your tank. It was like, no, that seemed like a great moment to empty your tank, like what we were saying Orochi Lane should have done.
This close. He was this close. I can't believe Beltran didn't stop it, to be honest.
You're right. Like, you got to wonder if it's Herb Dean or one of these other guys, if that's not a knockout.
A stoppage win. Yeah, because where's the intelligent defense when Lewis is literally standing there just getting his head hit side to side?
No, I feel you, man. And like I said, it's tough because this is the point where it goes wrong for Fletcher. But, like, if I was his coach, like, I wouldn't tell him to do anything different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm saying I don't know if he has anything to hang his head about because, yeah, he did gas out. And from this point on, it looks pretty rough. But it's like, I kind of think that was the right call to make. Like, it's just one of those things, like in life and in the sport, like sometimes you do everything right and it still bites you in the ass, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly right, man. And like, I mean, you could tell he was gassed. He just literally laid there for the last 40 seconds or so of round 3. And then in round 2 and in round 3 for the first like 3 minutes, I mean, just laid there on his back, just trying to breathe.
And at least it was consistent, but like, yeah, this is another one. I thought this could have been stopped too, just because there was nothing coming back from Fletcher. Like, he was a dead fish.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like flopping there. Like, I mean, holding on to single legs that were just, he wasn't driving or he just literally had his face on the mat. Like, it wasn't intelligent defense or offense. It wasn't anything. But honestly, though, Fletcher's corner probably should have thrown in the towel. I mean, there was nothing coming back. I mean, he finished the fight, so you could argue they shouldn't. I think there was like 100-7 strike count or something for Angelo.
Yeah, that's right, the third round. I scored at 10-8. I don't know how you couldn't score at 10-8.
No, it was 10-8. Like, it should have been stopped. His corner should have thrown in his towel. It was a bad look. They were blaming the Utah altitude. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it doesn't. I mean,
you know what it doesn't have to do with? It doesn't have to do with the 2 judges that scored that third round 10-9. That's crazy, man. How is that a 10-9? There was no intelligent defense for 4.5 minutes, really.
Yeah, man. And that was a failure on the corner and the ref and the judges, apparently. Because, yeah, like, what do you got to do to get a 10-8? Yeah, I mean, Andrew, I mean, I scored at, 29-27, as did you. Is that correct?
So, yeah, and so did Sal D'Amato. Not Chris Lee did not, and Dan First, who I've never heard of, Utah judge. He also scored at 29-28. So, fuck those guys.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. That's not a 10-8. Yeah, so this definitely
I don't know what is.
Yeah, this busted my parlay. But you know what? It's one of those things where, like, happy for Andrew. So, like, this was by far the best win of his career. I mean, it was his best performance
pretty good at it, too.
His career.
Pretty good on the mic afterward as well. Speaks pretty good English.
Yeah, speaks good English. Yeah, represents a lot of different parts of the world. I think Africa and Switzerland. And, I mean, I don't know. I think that maybe trains a little bit in the U.S. Like, I mean, well-traveled guy, well-spoken guy. You know, the exciting fighter, right? I mean, that was a hell of a performance. I mean, had a hell of a chin on his part, too. Like, could have got finished himself. Like, this is a fight where, like.
Great point.
Fight could have been stopped for either guy, so I get at least it's like fair and not fair but consistent, right? Like we
did see some crazy chin performances last night.
We did. The chins were on display. But yeah, Angelusa, great win. Honestly, stock up for Angelusa going into this one. I didn't have that much respect on Angelusa's name, to be quite frank. I bet against him, right? And I mean, I'll definitely have to have a little more respect on his name, and it'll be interesting to see if he's maybe even a favorite in his next fight. But
yeah, no doubt. I mean, pretty bloody fight for ABC too. So hope that went over well with the fans at home.
Yeah, I hope so too. Because I mean, it's MMA for sure. You definitely can't.
Not the bloodiest fight of the night. That definitely goes to the co-main as well. We'll get there.
Yeah, a lot of violence on display. Yeah, in last night's card, it got wild. So next up, we got Sean Woodson, -365 favorite, taking on Luis Saldana. I had Woodson on a parlay. I liked him for the same obvious reasons that Vegas and everybody else, liked him. Their range. He's the tallest, longest fighter in the division. He has really good boxing. He has taken pro boxing fights. Saldana, I thought would strike with him, and I thought that favored Woodson on the feet. I don't know. In a lot of ways, that prediction wasn't wrong. I mean, a lot of this fight did take place on the feet, and it just didn't go how I thought it would go.
No, yeah. So, man, I was surprised. I thought Woodson, with his length, he He is 6'3" almost in the
Featherweight.
damn featherweight division, 145. It's crazy to be that tall and that long. Like his length on his legs and his arms matches. Literally, his torso doesn't start until 4 feet up his body. It's ridiculous.
He's built like one of them things from Men in Black.
Yeah, he really is. It's crazy. Now, as it goes, Saldana starts cracking Woodson with some counter shots and then lands a massive check hook where Woodson like falls onto his face. And Saldana's doing the showboat bullshit where he starts walking away and is like, come on, get back up, and is like hype about it. And Woodson gets back up and can barely stand, and Saldana's pointing at him, laughing, and like still goading his hit. It's like, bro, you're in a fight. Go finish it.
Yeah, honestly, though, I thought that could have been called.
Me too. I'm with you. Because then Woodson gets put down with a jab not 10 seconds later.
Exactly. Like I thought that was a knockout. Data agrees. Data said that should have been a knockout. You see him talk about it in the first fight when he was like, I should really give him $50,000. It should have been a great highlight finish. And then Data's saying the same thing we're all saying, but you got to finish and you got to fight till it stops.
Now, Saldana does ruin it for himself, though, in a sense as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because the next time he drops him with the jab, right? And then that's when the knee to the downed opponent takes place. And
it was like a running knee, too, to a very clearly downed opponent.
He punted his fucking head like a kickoff.
And so I think to myself, oh, this fight's DQ. Oh, Woodson wins right there. Boom. Like, Saldana, you're an idiot. I don't know why you would ever do that. Like, that's the dumbest shit you could have possibly done.
It wasn't close at all.
Right. And so then you get to the point where Woodson recovers and he says, I'm good to still fight. That's the craziest thing ever because he definitely wasn't. He was already done from the punches.
Yeah.
Then gets rocked with a knee and then it was like, no, let's fight. Bro, that's one where it's not even Aljamain Sterling type of out. Like, it's first round. We haven't even seen it. Like, you just got caught. You were pretty much finished. And, like, that knee looked so brutal in actual appearance, I would let it slide.
Yeah, it's weird that this fight did continue. So we end up what I think is a 9-8 round. How did you score round one? Because there was a point deduction for the illegal strike, which is weird. Like, a point got deducted, which is –
I scored it 9-9.
You scored it 9-9. I scored it 9-8. Essentially knocked him out.
For that.
He knocked him out
potential for that.
Twice, essentially.
Yeah, but then I guess I was probably holding it against Saldana. Like, man, if you're I know he was hurt, but for the rest of the time he's hurt in that round, I'm just going to say that's from your illegal strike.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to get scored around 9-8. I don't think I've ever scored around 9-8 before. I don't know. But did any judges score at 9-8?
No, every judge had it 9-9.
Wow. Okay.
Now, this fight is crazy. Obviously, we recall the scorecards. This fight is crazy. So you got to go round by round here.
You got to go round by round. And then, speaking of crazy, round
in my opinion,
was weird.
In my opinion, by the way, this is the most rare decision you can get in mixed martial arts.
Yes, it is. It is the rarest, and for so many reasons, right? Like that. This fight just
can be seen in such a different sort of ways. Like, it can be seen so many different ways.
How'd you see it?
The second round I actually did give to Sean Woodson just because I thought Saldana won the first part of the round. Got that nice takedown. It was pretty back and forth, but I had Saldana slightly ahead, right? He gets the takedown. Woodson caught that buggy choke, and I thought almost had him finished, and then Saldana got enough space where he could survive in it past that point.
Yeah, but then he survived in it for me, it might be like 90 seconds. I mean, it was a long time. It was forever. That Woodson.
Yeah. You could tell at one point he, hit his hand on the ground, was about to tap, and then he got enough room and wiggled free just enough. And that was essentially being held in a position that he couldn't escape, but it's not on Sean Woodson to let him up.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, man. I scored it for Woodson, too. And he landed a few good shots before they got into the grappling. And then you factor in, like I said, it was weird. It was a sub attempt, but it almost turned into control time. Like, you know what I mean? It was really weird. And I could definitely understand giving that round to Saldana because in a weird way he was on top.
I mean, he did do more damage.
He did more damage.
But he also, I think Woodson was closer to finishing the fight that round.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I saw it that way, but I'm just saying anybody who saw it who didn't see it that way, it's kind of understandable. It was a weird because
I can see the path to that.
You know what I mean?
So funny enough, one judge scores it for Woodson, two judges score it for Saldana that round.
That kind of makes sense. I mean, I struggled with how to score this. It's like, but it's weird. I don't have the word close because it's like if you like the choke from Woodson,
it's what you like. It's not necessarily close. It's just what you like.
Exactly, because I don't have the word close in my notes. Like I kind of like the choke, and I got to be real. I don't think I've ever seen that choke before. So it's like it's high level, and I appreciate that. Like I don't know, it's
hard to do too because you got to be long or you got to be short.
Coming from a guy that I perceive to be a striker, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I liked it. You're right. Do you like it? Did you not like it? I did.
Right, yeah. I mean, at very first, Kenneth was even like, how the hell is he even doing that? And I was like, oh, well. And then I like explained, like he pulls his leg up, slides his arm under it, and gets him trapped underneath his arm with his leg being held. So like the vice is a backwards arm and leg, you know what I'm saying? Like your leg inverts and your arm is hooked under it, and you're literally pressing him down to your body and trying to get like almost like a triangle over the top of your body. It's pretty crazy.
It is kind of like a similar to a triangle. Yeah, but it was wild looking. It was crazy. It looked like a pretzel. But yeah, and then we keep it pushing to round 3. Now
also a hard round to score.
I do have the word close in this one. I could see round 3 going either way. I gave it to Woodson, man. I thought he landed the harder strikes, the cleaner strikes.
Really?
Yeah, man. Now, I also have right below that round 3 was just sloppy for both guys. So
it was sloppy.
It was sloppy. It was like Randy Marsh fighting the dads at the baseball park. Like it was.
I even have the words in my notes. Shit show for the 3rd round.
Exactly. So almost like a round where nothing happens. That's hard to score. A round that's a shit show can go either way. You know what I mean? Like that's like I picked Woodson in a shit show. So it's like it could have gone either way. I thought he landed kind of harder and cleaner though. I really do. But I mean that's so subjective as well.
I had it Saldana. Not necessarily for those. I thought the volume by Saldana was good. I thought both guys were kind of landing shitty shots. So at that point, I was like, I agree damage and harder shots, but also like neither guy was going down at that point because all the shots were just so weakened from how tired they both were.
Yes, both guy was gassed. That's why.
So I guess maybe I went for the volume there, but so I scored at a 28-28 draw after the points deducted.
I scored at 28-27, which nobody agrees with me. It's a weird scorecard to have. Because of the 9-8, right? Because I think my math lines up.
28-27. Yeah. So no judge scored it like you. One judge scored it like me, but the judges scored it like me saw rounds 2 and 3 in reverse.
Okay, wow.
So no one scored the fights like you or I, and we didn't score them like each other. Every single judge has a different scorecard. We have different scorecards from them. This fight's insane. This fight's insane. This fight's insane.
This fight didn't fit into the structure of like 3 10-9 must rounds. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't.
Right. It doesn't make sense for it.
It was a round peg in a square hole just with like how it went down.
And for anyone at home that's wondering, it's a split draw where one judge sees it 29-27 Saldana, one judge sees it 29-27 Woodson, and one judge sees it 28-28. And D-Mac sees it 28-27. And I have it 28-28 in reverse of the judges scored at 28-28.
And who's wrong? None of us, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it just.
This is the first time we've ever had 5 different scorecards.
And what a perfect representation of that, right? You know what I mean? It's like, do you like power? Do you like volume? It's sloppy. It's do you value the choke in the 2nd round? I mean, how the hell do you interpret the point deduction? Is it a 10-8 with the point? That's how I saw it. It was a 10-8 round minus a point, so you get a 9-8. That's why I got my weird scorecard. I mean, there's so many like this. It was like a choose your own path novel. Like every decision or like subjective choice you kind of make when scoring this leads you down a different path of how you view the rest, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what else is weird for me to think about too is even if we had five judges, it'd be like a no decision because you'd have 2 for Woodson, 2 for draw, and 1 for Saldana. So you wouldn't have a majority of anything. So you just have
a no decision. A split draw, right?
It wouldn't be the draw though because
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't even know what you'd call it.
2 for each guy. No, it's the same as this.
No, two. It's 2 for draw, 2 for one guy, and 1 for another guy. So one guy has 2 judges, but it's not a majority.
That's a majority decision, I think.
But it's not a majority of the judges see it as a decision.
The majority draws it. It has to.
I think it's a no decision.
No decision.
Because there's no majority of anything, which is crazy. I was just thinking about it. Like, what would you even call it?
Yeah, that's definitely the cannabis talking right there.
But I was just thinking, like, would more judges help solve it? You know what I'm saying? Would 5 judges help?
It would make
not
it
necessarily.
more convoluted. It would make it more convoluted. Right. Yeah, no, this fight was a fucking weird mind bender. Split draw, as we said, you never see that because you never see fights like this. It just didn't fit with the scoring system. Like I said, as a guy, so split draw, that's a draw. So at the sports book, that just gets wiped off my parlay, I believe is how that happens.
Yeah, exactly right.
So
unless they offer draw as a bet, and in which case then that you don't have the safety as such.
Okay, word. But so yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah, I think parlay was still alive at that point on that one, and we'll keep it pushing to Jared Gordon, the New York City Batman Bat Destroyer. I don't know if anybody saw that viral clip. I don't know. That guy, he probably should have fucked him up, but maybe it's better he didn't. Jared Gordon minus 260. Fighting Leonardo Santos plus 220, 42 years old in the lightweight division. I thought this was a slam dunk bet of the week. However, I got a little nervous. Jared Gordon was saying, like, he was saying some weird stuff in his interviews leading up to this fight about how, like, I don't know, he doesn't always, like, I don't know how he worded it. Doesn't feel like fighting, doesn't like fighting, something. It was just not necessarily.
He's on his Derek Lewis vibes.
Yeah, and it's just not for different reasons, I think, than Derek Lewis. But you're right. I didn't make that connection in my head, but I kind of like that little comparison. But just not the type of stuff you want to hear from a fighter if you're his coach or a guy that bet on him. And like,
yeah, no doubt. Right? The guy that bets on him, you're like, wait, I didn't know you didn't actually give a shit about it.
That's what
I want to take my money back.
That's what I'm saying. I think the age of Santos, like I said, I still was feeling pretty good about it. But Santos, the guy, jiu-jitsu guy, can catch you slipping for sure. Especially, I kind of view Gordon more as a striker. Now, round one, I first half of the round was snooze fest, and especially coming off the weird fight, I was getting like frustrated. I was like, "What the fuck is this? Going to be the type of night?" No, they pick it up towards the end of the round, and by pick it up, I mean Jared Gordon starts throwing, get some good clinch strikes off. The punches to the body all night were like a theme of this fight. I loved how Gordon was ripping to the body. It was impressive. It was fun to watch.
He seemed successful in almost everything he was doing in the majority of the fight, minus almost getting his back taken in the second round. Like, I think this fight is kind of all 3 rounds are the same, except for unless you had any 10-8s, but I had 10-9 first.
Me too.
I thought the second was once again Gordon. Now Santos did have some success there in the clinch, trying to get to his back. Was about to get the takedown. Gordon did grab the fence. That was super unfortunate.
Not called.
I kind of hated that. Still scored 10-9 for him, but the fence grabs do suck. I don't want to take that away from Santos because maybe he does win that round if he can get him on the ground on his back, like having his back. And then round 3 I thought was clearly Gordon's, but it was a gassed out round for both guys. The Salt Lake City elevation was clearly having an effect. I think a lot of fighters in the prelims and early prelims as well. I had this thought, and I talked about it with Kenneth. Can't necessarily afford to go stay out there 2 weeks before and get used to that, right?
Yeah.
And I also think some of them didn't think about Salt Lake City being almost 5,000 feet high.
Well, and
it's just below 5,000 feet.
I've had mixed results with my experiences at altitude, and I think it is kind of a grab bag thing about how your body reacts on that day or that exact place, because it's like, I remember I played a football game in Colorado, like literally in the mountains. I forget the name of some small little college out there, but like in the mountains, like literally, I mean, it was one of the most gorgeous. It looked like a fake map you'd get like on a video game, just like the mountains around the field and shit. It was insane. It was so dope. Well, we're playing the mountains, and I remember distinctly thinking in the game, like, I don't feel that gassed. Like, this isn't as bad as everybody talked about. Our coaches talked about it all week, did extra conditioning. Maybe the extra conditioning paid off, whatever. I remember distinctively playing the football game, like pretty intense game, close game. Like, we're going all out. And I was like, man, this isn't so bad. But then like when we be hiking up in these mountains,
I was just gonna say. Now, granted, Tahoe at that point, lake level sits at like 6,700 feet. So when we're up on the roads, we're low key like 7,000 feet up.
In hiking, I don't know if it's different than playing a football game, or you're actually going uphill. I don't know.
Yeah, the uphill for sure.
But the Tahoe Mountains, the Tahoe Mountains gas me all the time. Almost every weekend, anytime I go out to Tahoe, I get gassed. But
bro, I'm glad you said that because I thought it was just me that day where I was just like, this walk sucks.
Well, yeah, no, and I thought it was it's the elevation was like made it like more intense. So it's like.
We also took a steep ass path.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was fun, but it kicked our ass. But like, I'm just trying to relate my own experiences. Like, I've had experiences where the altitude didn't affect me, and I've had experiences where it was like so noticeable. And so, and what I'm saying is, it was very noticeable watching last night's card. Like, there's no way all these guys would just gas. Like, you know what I mean? Like, none of these guys were in shape for 3 rounds. You know what I'm saying?
That is fair, though, because I think about going to Buddy Foster's wedding, like our Buddy Foster that's listening, going to his wedding in Manitou Springs, Colorado Springs. It's above a mile, I'm pretty sure. I think it's like 5,500 feet there at the base of Pikes, or whatever peak is there. And we pretty much stayed right there in this Airbnb. We were out there on the football one day, like, walking around. I didn't feel that gas from it.
It's hit and miss, I think.
But granted, some guys were talking about it. So I do think it has to do with your physical person.
Yeah, like it's hit or miss on like different people, different places, different high elevations. It's pretty, I don't know. And my own experiences have been inconsistent. I think we saw kind of it affected some fighters more than others last night. Your experiences kind of point to that as well. So we're doing some real bro science over here. But yeah, man, I mean, Jerry.
I love it.
Gets the win. I mean, looked good. You can question the opponent. You know what I mean? 30-27 unanimous, including Beefy Boys unanimous. Yeah, Jared Gordon gets the win. I mean, I don't have too much more to say. It was one of those things where it was, I think, my first bet to hit all night, and I still wasn't that excited, just to let you know how, like, kind of not fun the fight was. Like, the body work was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, that's literally the only compliments I really have to give. Like, I did enjoy the body work. It was pretty dope, like, seeing a guy make, like, the decision to go to the body and be so accurate with it. But, I mean, besides that, I mean, I didn't really –
I think the way I felt about it was, like, good performance from Jared Gordon. Wish Leonardo Santos was not fighting in the UFC much longer because I just don't think he's at that level. And I think Jared Gordon is a fun guy at 55, but I also don't think he has any ranked aspirations currently from what I see.
I still wouldn't mind seeing the Patty fight, though, because like that fight was
Jared Gordon Patty.
It was supposed to happen, I think, and then something happened, and then so
I feel like he's kind of past him now, you know.
Patty's past Jared Gordon. I agree, but I'm saying if they're gonna feed Patty another, you know, what do you want to call it?
Well, speaking of which, not even cans, but the whole 55 division. I guess you heard Ferguson's now booked against Li Jingliang at 170.
My jaw hit the floor.
Yeah, I was
heard that.
The Leech?
Because Leech is big. Like, when I think – but we've never seen – I don't think – has Ferguson fought at welterweight?
I've never seen it.
So, I mean, we don't know what that looks like, but he is a pretty slender guy, right? Like, I mean, even if he has a little extra fat or a little extra water in him, like
he's getting old too, so maybe that not cutting that weight actually helps him a lot.
Yeah, I'd like to see his cheeks fill out a little more. But
yeah, because Tony has that insanity mentality where I bet he's been sucking a lot of weight. Like I bet he walks around at probably like 190. Well, no, he talks about how he walks around at like 176. Like he says he doesn't get that big.
Yeah, so he's going to be pretty much fighting at his walking weight is how I view it. And I'm saying Jing Liang is pretty, not a small guy.
Jing Liang walks around like 200 pounds. Yeah, he's a big guy.
He's not a small guy. I think it's going to be fun. I mean, I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, I'm curious as hell. That's one, I don't know if I'll bet it, or I can't wait to see the money line because, I mean, that could be either way, right? Because Jing Liang, he's had some losses. You know, you could. I actually know Jing Liang's going to be the favorite. He's going to be the favorite. He's the younger guy. He's the bigger guy.
Yeah, he should be. He should be. I'll bet him as the favorite if it's under minus like 180.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling. But back to UFC.
Should be a good fight, but I definitely like. Yeah, I mean, talking bigger guys. If you want a nice smooth transition here, we'll keep it pushing. Here we go out of baby to
we got heavyweights, man. We got Alexander Romanov, who I've just been stroking his dick all week.
Oh, I've been stroking King Kong.
Double skiing over here, but like I thought this was my lock of the week. I have two separate bets on the side. I have the money line in a parlay, and I have the under as a straight bet. I thought I was just genius, man. McGee finding value over here. Romanov 16-0, undefeated. I mean, I think all of his fights in the UFC have been first or second round finishes. We haven't really seen him be pushed or be competitive. I was super high on him as one of my favorite heavyweight prospects. 13th ranked, so he's finally starting to climb the rankings. Minus 330 favorite. I was a genius and got him at minus 360. Marcin Tybura plus 275, 11th ranked. I mean, I saw it the same way as Vegas. I thought we had a guy on the way up fighting a guy on the way down. I mean, Tybura getting up there in age, been through some wars, taking some L's. You know what I mean? I just, I don't know how.
And kind of the test, like, are you top 10? Like, I think Tybura is the gatekeeper to, like, the exterior of the heavyweights into, like, the actual heavyweights that are going to be fighting for belts.
You're right. You're right. You're right. And great point. Now, round one looks exactly how I thought it would look. And
chef's kiss round one. It's what I thought the whole fight was going to be.
Like I said, I bet the under 1.5. So, like, I was yelling at my TV to stop it. I'm the least biased person you could ever ask when it comes to this. You thought that there was any point in round one that it could have been stopped / should have been stopped, or is that just me being a scumbag that bet the under?
I did write that I was very surprised Tybura survived the round.
Okay.
So I guess saying that, like, you could law your ball and say, well, if he was surviving, wasn't defending. And I guess that's fair. But I don't know. He was doing just enough to keep Beltran, or I'm sorry, who was the ref for this? He was doing just enough to keep Jason Herzog off.
That's why I disagree. I disagree because he had I literally had the words unanswered ground and pound in my notes, and it was like a Shemaev round. Like Romanov didn't get touched in round one. He didn't get hit. It was like
I know 0 strikes.
Zero strikes.
Round one.
See, to me, that's like evidence and like that wasn't that like could have should have been something. Like he said, I'm super unbiased. Because the straight bet on the under 1.5 was plus 180. I thought that was like hammer it. I thought it was such a lock. And so you said, I mean, I thought it should have been stopped, but I definitely had a horse in the race. Now, I think I can meet
you halfway. I scored at 10-8 as well. I think there's no question if a guy lands 0 strikes in a round and the other guy lands even 15 good shots and gets 3 takedowns, it's 10-8.
It's 10-8.
Romanov landed 31 shots, and they're heavyweight, so I know they're good shots. You know what I mean? Also, suplexed a man 3 times in round one.
Well, I think that's
10-8.
That proves
it's 10-8, right?
Downfall
only one judge gave it a 10-8.
The judges were stingy with the 10-8s. I'll say that. A lot stingier than your boy.
And the 10-8 that we see be given out earlier, what fight was that where they agreed with us on the 10-8 being given? It was AJ Fletcher and Angelosa for the third round. Okay, so Saldi Amato saw that as a 10-8, but did not see round one of this fight as a 10-8. Now you're getting selected 10-8s.
Yeah. I mean, granted, round one wasn't as exciting, but like the damage that was being done, the dominance. I mean, the goose egg on the board for Tybura. I completely agree. I think this is a textbook definition of the 10-8. Like I said, I thought it could have been stopped.
I mean, if we're talking comparatively scoring, 100 strikes to 7 in that third round of the Angelos AJ Fletcher fight, and they're gassed out strikes, so it's not even extra damage coming. It's just a volume thing, right? Well, Romanov's not gassed. He's throwing damage. He's throwing hammers. He's getting takedowns. He's in full control and eats 0 strikes, absorbs 0 strikes. That has to be a 10-8. It has to be. And it becomes important is the reason I bring that up so vehemently.
No, you're right, man. It does become important, and really, really out of line. That I mean, how is it not a 10? Like, what's the argument? I mean, there wasn't enough blood. I mean, you get into like really simplistic, like really stupid takes. If you're like what,
carnage arguments rather than damage. Because damage doesn't have to be carnage.
Exactly. Like, but I think that's like the only argument you can make, right? Like, oh, there wasn't a lot of blood. There wasn't a knockdown. There wasn't a.
I guess.
Like, I'm trying to think.
I mean, is the suplex not good enough as far as like a knockdown? Like, is picking a 250-pound man up above your head and slamming him back down?
Impressive. It was so.
It's
impressive.
amazing.
And to be honest, yeah, we'll get to the results of this one, but like Romanov looked exactly how I thought he would look as a guy who bet on him. Like he came out and did his thing of like what he does.
And he weighed in at 240.
Yeah, he's losing weight in a good way. He's like looking good.
Yeah, like can you imagine if that guy can somehow ever make 205?
Oh my god.
It would be not even cool.
Well, I mean, or would it? Would he be that same guy? You know, it's a weird.
That level, like, I mean, he'd probably only lose 20 pounds of muscle to do it. That's a lot. Actually, that's a lot. Probably 15 pounds of muscle. I think he can still hoist 205-pound guys. Like, it's like DC. It's the same thing, actually.
Yeah, DC was talking about it the other day. It would like cut down from 250 to light heavyweight.
Right. I'm saying, like this guy could do it, and he's the same guy. Like I honestly, after saying it, I never thought about it until this moment. Now, Romanov would be a title contender at 205 the minute he could make the weight. But back to this fight, because that's not even important.
What a wild take! That never crossed my mind. We're getting worse here. Other people.
Happy birthday to me. But now, all that being said, Tybura comes back and wins the second round, in my opinion. Looks good, avoids the takedown, and I thought outstruck Romanov. I thought started getting him tired and hurt.
Yeah, you're right. Tybura. Well, I think this is another, like, I mean, Romanov, AJ Fletchered himself. I mean, he shot his load in the first round. This is where the only reason I question some decision making by Romanov is like he was going for some style points with those suplexes. No, he does do that.
And the spinning kicks and shit in the second round. He was still throwing high energy strikes to try and get a flashy finish.
He wasn't efficient at all. Like he left me on that bone from like an efficiency perspective. Why it's hard, like
absolutely.
Like AJ Fletcher, I was very kind, right? I was like, you made the right choice. You went about it the right way. It didn't pass. Romanov, I don't know if I can say the same thing because of how kind of irresponsible he was with his gas tank in the first 6 minutes of the fight.
I agree 100%. And I mean, maybe if he does empty it out fully and like fully go for it, and not to say he didn't, but it wasn't as gas AJ Fletcher.
Kind of like worst of both worlds, right? Like didn't really go for the kill, but really gassed himself. Yeah, it's kind of like worst of both scenarios. I agree. It's a great point.
Yeah, like you didn't commit to either, so now you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You stood in the middle of the road, and now judgment time is here, and you're just going to take both consequences instead of one.
He got both consequences, right? He didn't even get to reap the benefits of going balls deep in one direction.
Didn't even get the 10-8 guaranteed to him from all the judges, which would have been a big change.
Let's get to it. So obviously, right now
I have it 19-18 after round 2.
Me too. Thanks for doing that, Matt. I didn't feel like it. And then round 3, we got Tybura. I mean, round 3. First off, the entire round took place on the feet. If you know anything about Romanov and anything about Tybura, you know how this round looks. Especially when Romanov's way more gassed than Tybura. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean,
I thought Romanov did a good job of fighting back, but I thought Tybura kind of straightforward won the round. It wasn't necessarily clear, wasn't necessarily close. It was just kind of like, Tybura won.
The volume, right? The activity, and just the not being gassed. It was pretty obvious. It was 10-9 though. I mean, Romanov didn't eat anything too crazy.
Did plenty back to not. I mean, it wasn't just dominated, but so that's important because both of us have this fight 28-28.
Yeah, I scored it as a draw, which I don't like doing. But I gotta say, this is how I like to arrive at a draw. From
Me too. It's
10-8
and then the other guy is surviving and winning. Yep, I agree.
Like
there's no point deductions. There's no foul shit. It's just how the fight occurred.
So usually draws kind of get talked about, dauber down, bad taste in your mouth, blah blah blah. This is like the type of draw that I'm cool with. It's like an NFL draw, like you know what I mean, like
I agree.
Like we really arrived at a draw here. Like it takes a lot to like get here, but this is like the way
Like, well, boys, we played 70 minutes of football, and y'all couldn't get more or less one point than the other. So we're just going to have to call it a draw.
And neither guy was going to finish each other here. Like, neither guy gets, like, jobbed or anything. So all right. So, yeah, we both think it's a draw. One judge thinks it's a draw, and the other two judges give it to 29-28 Tybura, which I do think is a damn shame. But, yeah, it's a damn shame. You know what? The more that I think about it, you know, in the moment, I was like trying to be kind of like, oh, I kind of see it, blah, blah, blah. But no, Romanov got screwed, but he got screwed out of a draw, not out of a win. But
correct. But that's how I feel like he didn't lose the fight. He just didn't win it.
Yeah, and like I said,
weird to say that I would feel even comfortable with that statement.
Well, and it's weird because Romanov, like we said, he was so inefficient. There's so many scenarios where he wins that fight. And Tybura, I don't think ever was really going for the finish. Like he was surviving, but in like an active way. Like I don't know. Like I don't think he was really going for it. I don't think he performed all that well. He survived the onslaught and won, which I could argue he didn't survive. Could have been stopped. And then
that's where I'm at. Like whenever someone could have been stopped and they edge out the next two rounds.
Yeah,
not necessarily close, like I said, but kind of straightforward rounds. I'm not inclined to say that you won that fight.
Exactly. It's tough, man. Like, you know, I'm coming from a guy who I feel like I got jobbed out of two bets, right? Because I thought if you stop it, you know,
the under 1.5 was all day with the stop.
It was looking good. And then, like I said, I had Romanov on a parlay, the same parlay I had Woodson on. So that I was like two draws on one parlay. What? Like, but yeah, I don't know, man. So Tybura gets the win. I'm sure whoever had the plus 275 there is happy. Romanov gets held out of the top 10, though. But you know what? I think Romanov, I'm still high on him. What I'm saying is I'm not dropping down. I think he's going to go back. His coaches are going to probably call him a fucking idiot. And then he's going to be way more efficient. He's going to learn a lesson, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here in a roundabout way. I think Romanov learns from this. I think he, you know, maybe it's one or two more fights. I think he ends up in the top 10 still. I'm not mad at it. Like, I mean, like I said, I am mad at the decision. I think he learns from this. I'm not done with Romanov. I don't think he's like Tybura's held him out of the top 10. I think for now, right? But I think, you know, in 12 months, he's right back there.
Yeah, I love Romanov's age. I love his skill set being still under development, meaning that he could improve in other facets that make him even more dangerous. I like that he lost in such a way where he's now like driven to show that or to finish fights rather, because like I said, a majority decision, you still have the case to make for yourself if I didn't really lose that fight. Right? Like mentally, he's from the standpoint of like, I got jobbed. Like it's a driving force. I feel like a chip on his shoulder rather, and a good place for him to develop his career from this point. And he has all the raw skill set and size to be great.
Like you could argue that those three suplexes, like if he just gets like kind of more boring takedowns, then has more energy in the second round and probably wins the second round. You know what I'm saying? Because from round one on, he was gassed. And I think he was gassed from those big suplexes. So it's like some easy tweaks and adjustments there, and I think he's just fine, to be honest. I think he's still a big problem for a lot of these guys.
I agree completely. But, I mean, that does wrap up the prelims.
Yep.
We got a stacked main card coming, so I say we take a short break and get into it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll be right back. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beefy Boys Breakdown. Thanks for everybody watching.